All right, let's talk to the Diddy. Our first chance to talk to Ray since the Eagles laid a clunker in New York, and I think have shown real signs now of concern that we should have. I certainly have. And then the Phillies, whose season is over. Ray Didinger, sir, I don't know how you're going to make us feel better, but we turn to you. Good morning, Ray.
Morning, Joe. How are you?
So
It's been a rough weekend for all of us, I think.
I mean, at least Joel got out there a little bit, so, but make of that what you will. All right, Ray, let's start Eagles, and then we'll go Phils. So here's where I'm at. Genuine concern. I just think the Eagles aren't that good and got some very lucky wins to start the year, and I have major concerns about the Eagles to the point where I think they may actually miss the playoffs. If they do make it, I could see them being one and done. Where are you at on Eagles concern?
Yeah, well, I understand it. I mean, I'm certainly hearing a lot of it. A lot of people seem to feel that way. The only thing I would ask you is, how do your feelings about this team and its long-term future compare to where they were at 2-2 last year coming out of Tampa? Because it's a lot. We're really at the same kind of inflection point here. That because as bad as they looked at that point, a lot of people were writing them off then. At 2-2, coming off the collapse the year before, playing a horrible game down in Tampa. A lot of people were saying and feeling the same things they're thinking now, and they pulled out of that and won a Super Bowl. So can that same thing, is that what we're looking at again this year, or is it something different? That's kind of what I'm trying.
Well, here's my flip side on that, because you're right. And by the way, they got to 4-2 last year, which is what they are now. They have a good record. I mean, most years in my life, you say in September 1st, hey Joe, you take a 4-2 record on October 13th. They say, yeah, 4-2 means I'm probably making the playoffs. I'm one of the better teams. Let's rock and roll. But here's the flip side on how they've got there. Just because they won, I don't know what the heck they won last year, 14 out of 15 or 13 out of 14, whatever that was, doesn't mean they're about to do that again. I mean, last year to me is more the aberration than not, right?
Probably so. I mean, I've tried to look at this from all sides, and I've tried to look at it from the side that you just mentioned. That they're 4-2. They played a pretty tough schedule up to this point, and they've got the rest of the season to get things worked out. How bad can it be? Yeah, I've tried to have that side of the argument as well, but it doesn't stick with me. As soon as I'll think it over, trying to be a little bit optimistic, but then it doesn't stick with me because it's not really. I'm not going to say it's not relevant. Obviously, the record is relevant, but what's really more important is, where are you now? I mean, you're 4-2, but how do you look as a team? And right now they just look awful.
Predictable.
There's just no getting around it. And I went back and I watched the Giants game again, hoping to find something in there. You could say, okay, yeah, this was really bad, but this still stands. This is still intact, and they've still got this going for them. And I couldn't come away with anything. And I think that's probably the most alarming part about this is I came away from that and I really couldn't answer a very simple question. What does this team do well?
Yeah.
Right now, you look at this team and you try and separate the fact that you're a fan and the Philadelphia part of it, and you just look at them as a football equation at this point. And then just ask yourself the question, okay, I've just finished watching this tape. What does this team do well? Right now, they don't do anything well. I mean, the only thing that you can say they do well is they have a really good punter and they have a place kicker who hasn't missed a field goal attempt. Other than that, this team isn't doing a single blessed thing well, and that's the scary part. I mean, you can talk 4-2 all you want, but you have to look at what you are. You just have to put the tape on and look at what you are. And right now, if you looked at that and you didn't know the history of this team, you didn't know the pedigree, you didn't know any, and somebody just slapped the tape on and said, "Take a look at this team. Tell me what you think."
Yeah.
You'd say, "Yeah, they stink," and that's kind of where you are right now. And this is a team coming into the season. We all kind of agreed. We all said repeatedly. I said it with you. You said it to me, and we all said it to each other. This is the best team in football. Well, how did they get here at that point? Because right now you're past the point where it's just a couple bad games, or it's some kind of an aberration. You really take this thing apart right now, and right now they're a bad team, and you don't have everybody talks about mini bye. Well, yeah, okay, maybe you do, but you don't have that much time to figure this thing out. And now you got a game coming up in Minnesota against a team that's, Brian Flores' defense, the way you're playing right now, that's not a very comforting thought.
Ray, how big a problem is the predictability, the simplicity of our offense, the coaching that, in my mind, it's more the scheme than it is the players. Everyone is to blame for the execution, but this predictability factor when it feels like teams, and a lot's been, said about it, a lot's been documented out there, teams are able to sort of sell out and stop the run because they know that we are going to run. Teams are already selling out to beat us because we're the Super Bowl champs, and now they can sell out on top of that because they know with all, near certainty, seemingly, that we are running or passing. What do you make of that part?
Absolutely true. I think... How
does it get to that? How?
I think, there are a lot of reasons for that, but I think what to me stands out, and maybe is the biggest single takeaway from the game on Thursday, is what happened afterwards when Lane Johnson said what he said.
Yeah.
Lane Johnson is a 13-year player. He's a veteran player. He's a player with the greatest stature in your locker room. Everybody respects him. He's first ballot Hall of Famer, that without question. And a guy who knows this team, knows this organization, and more importantly, knows this city and knows the fan base. And he knows how things work in Philadelphia. And for him to stand at his locker and volunteer the statement that we're predictable right now. Now, a young player sometimes slips up and says things he doesn't mean. He wishes, immediately he wants to take it back. Mm-hmm. Lane Johnson ain't that guy. What he said for a purpose. He put that out there because, and if he feels that way, the other guys in the offense feel that way, and he's the only one that gave voice to it. But if you more than reading the quotes, if you saw the way he said it for a reason. That's exactly how he feels. He's at the point now that he was after the Tampa game last year, when he got the other offensive linemen together and they went into Nick Sirianni's office and said, we got to start running the football. That's what turned the season around. This was his version of that, except instead of doing it in Nick Sirianni's office, he did it in front of his locker after that game. So what he's saying is all the stuff, all the chatter we've been hearing on talk radio and on the streets in the last couple of weeks about predictable. And you run that by most of the players and certainly all of the coaches, and they just, no, that's just fan talk. Well, it wasn't fan talk Thursday night. So I think that what he did was, he just sort of threw it out there and it was his way of saying this is how we feel, and now it's up to all of us, not just the coaches, but all of us to work this thing out. But clearly he took you past the point of this is just fan speculation. And he took you into the minds of where the players feel right now.
So, Ray, I'm sorry.
If this guy feels that way, then obviously there's tremendous validity to it.
I agree that the predictability is absolutely a problem, and there's no doubt in my mind Patullo might be a legitimate issue. But I will tell you this, Ray, far more important in my mind is who the players are. And I put a list together the other day, and it was two-sided ledger. One was who have they added that makes a positive impact. And right now my list is one. Jihad Campbell. I had Makuba on that list until he's played not nearly as well the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So I've got Jihad Campbell is the only player at it that's making a positive impact. Here's who they've lost from last year who played in the Super Bowl. Now, some of these are short-term injuries, some are longer-term injuries, some are guys no longer here. Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, Nolan Smith, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Kenny Gainwell, Mekhi Becton. That's why they're not as good. That's why they're dramatically not as good. That list terrifies me, Ray.
No, sure. Oh, yeah, no question. No question.
Am I missing anybody that they added? Can anybody tell me the second best player besides Jihad Campbell that the Philadelphia Eagles added? And by the way, I'm not totally ripping Howie. I want to be clear. He accumulated so many great players last year that in a salary cap world, this is what the NFL does to you. And this is why I was worried going into the year. Who is the second best?
But some of them were. It wasn't all cap. It was some of them. The Isaiah Rodgers and Darius Slay could still be here. They were cash issues.
But then Goddard might not be here. I'm just saying, like, who's the second best player they added? It's certainly not the kick returner that can't catch the ball.
I mean, maybe it's Zadarius Smith, and he hasn't done that much, but
I mean, that is like
that's tough.
Dude, he made plays like week 2, and since then I haven't seen much.
He wasn't even on the team week 1. Like, I mean,
Maybe
that's a hell of an offseason.
I don't think it's
Zadarius Smith or AJ Dillon.
Ray, my point is they lost a lot more than they've gained.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And now some of the guys that you mentioned are out with injuries and they'll be back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you looked at the team that took the field on Thursday and try to say these are the Super Bowl champs, well, they weren't.
Yeah.
And the whole world saw that on Thursday night.
But Detroit's dealing with the same thing. We just watched it last night. They're so beaten up. Their defense is unrecognizable. You know, our offensive line feels unrecognizable, doesn't it, Ray?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the things that in watching the film, I mean, Mailata, who never struggled in this game. And I think
some of the time it's the guy next to him.
That's exactly.
Oh
what
my
it is.
gosh,
that's exactly what it is. You know, because I mean, Dickerson is himself a really good player, an outstanding player.
Mm-hmm.
So you lose him at that position, but the ripple effect to the guy next to him is enormous in this game. I mean, you saw you saw some of the plays that Burns made. He was a good player, I understand that, but a lot of them, he's winning battles there that he wouldn't have won otherwise because Mailata doesn't have Dickerson next to him. He changes everything on that side of the ball.
Toth doesn't even try to swap off stunts. You know, normally an ET stunt, it would just be automatic between Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson. When the E comes in, when the E comes inside and the T goes outside, they just easily swap it off. Toth is in there trying to just stay on his guy.
Right.
So like, what's Jordan Mailata supposed to do? That's his guy.
There's a handoff. There's a handoff that goes between those two guys now that they could do with their eyes closed now because they played together so long.
Yep.
I mean, you don't have that when he's not there, and
exactly. It results in a sack.
Sure, exactly. Because I mean, looking back, you go back and run it back, and you look at how many times in pass protection situations Toth is turned where he's parallel to the sidelines. I mean, his body is turned into what's essentially a non-protection position. And Mailata feels that, and it takes him off of his edge, and now he feels like he's got to lean inside, and then the whole left side collapses, and that's the kind of stuff that was going down on Thursday night. And I don't know, they really haven't said what Dickerson's status is. Is he going to be back from Minnesota? I kind of think maybe not, but I think he's really, really important there. But that's just one aspect of this thing. There was a lot of other stuff that's going down here with this team. Yep. That has to be addressed and it has to be dealt with if you're going to get this season back on track.
Totally agree. Ray, let's get to the Phils. Before we get to the future, let's get to the last week. What was your reaction with how the Phillies lost? I'm not saying just the final 5 seconds. I mean the series. What was your reaction to the Phillies losing to the Dodgers?
It felt the same. I mean, it felt the same. It felt the way the postseasons have been ending now for 3 years in a row. That the lineup that helped carry you to the postseason you can't count on them in the playoffs. And it's at the top of the order just kills you. I mean, Kerkering will live with this now for a while, and a lot of people jumped on him. Some people didn't. I mean, some people said you can't pin it on the kid, and that's kind of where I feel. I mean, he made a bad mistake, obviously. But to me, what really, the reason that you're not playing anymore is the top guys in your batting order just let you down. And everybody's focusing on the top three, and I understand that. But, the right-handed, I mean, Bohm hurts you too.
Yep.
I mean, you need a right-handed bat there, and he's just not giving it to you. I mean,
do you want him back, Ray?
It would depend on what you get. I mean, I certainly wouldn't bring him back and think of him as a 4 or 5 hitter. I mean, he's just not that. And nor is Marsh. And I think Castellanos is probably on his way out. Marsh may be on his way out too. I mean, you really have to rethink a lot of things. Now, I mean, they have a lot of tough decisions to make. I can't imagine at this point. I mean, a couple of them are really tough decisions. I mean, Real Muto to me is not an easy decision. I mean, I know how the pitching staff feels about him. I know how the organization feels about him. I mean, they desperately want to keep him because they think he's that important. But, you know, he's a catcher catching 130 games a year at the age of 35. I mean, how much of a commitment can you make? I know there's tremendous internal thought about, well, we can't afford to lose him. But how can you afford to pay him? And you know, and then I mean, there are a million questions there too about what are you going to do with the, you know, is Wheeler going to come back? If he's going to come back, how effectively is he going to come back? I mean, there's a lot to deal with here, and you know, the Schwarber situation is I really do believe that I'm sure the feeling within the organization is no, we can't let him go, not after a year like that. So, okay, if you're going to bring him back, you know, I mean, now where are you salary-wise to make the moves that you need to make to get yourself back up there to where you can play with and beat the big teams in the postseason? Because it's not, you know, if this happens once to a team, okay, it happens once. But it's now happened 3 years in a row that you've gone out exactly the same way. And so, I mean, when it happens 3 times now, you got to understand, okay, this is kind of what we are. And if we don't want to stay in this position and put ourselves in this position going into another postseason, we're going to have to make some significant changes. So there must be a tug of war going in within the office, because a lot of people probably in there are saying, no, we got to keep these guys. I mean, look at the numbers, look at how productive they are. And then there's the other side of it where you say, yeah, but where is that production in October, and can we live with what it is? And they're not in an easy place right now. I mean, they're in a different place than the Eagles, but it's not necessarily all that much of a better place. I mean, they're teams that have accomplished a lot, are enormously popular in this town, but right now, each one of them is kind of at a crossroads. That's really kind of where they both find themselves.
No question. Ray, where do you net out on Rob Thompson? If you are Dombrowski and Middleton, Topper is back or not back?
My feeling is he will be back. I would be surprised if they made a change. He's enormously popular in the locker room. The players really like him. You look at his record; he's got a .580 winning percentage, one of the best in team history. But you know, I covered this team in the '70s, and you know, Topper's situation here is not that unlike Danny Ozark's. You know, I mean, it really isn't, and for a lot of the same reasons. You know, Oz was the guy that everybody loved. The players all loved him. You know, he was the real steady-as-she-goes guy. You know, never let the clubhouse get a little out of hand. You know, always, if he had something to say to a player, called him into the office, said it behind closed doors. And that's part of the reason why the players loved him. And he won a lot of games, and he got you to the postseason all the time, but you always fell short in the postseason. And so they felt like, you know, we need a different voice. We need a different way. We need a different kind of leadership. And they pulled the plug on him, and they brought in Dallas Green, who was absolutely a different kind of leadership. And that same nucleus went and won a World Series. So I mean, the situations to me are very analogous. I mean, very much the same. Same kind of manager, same kind of issues, same kind of talent base, falling short in October. And everybody loved Danny, but they finally felt like we needed a different kind of voice. And this is this feels very much the same to me. But I still feel like I kind of felt like the Dallas thing coming. I think we all felt it was coming. This one doesn't feel that way to me. I think that, you know, that conversation is probably going to take place, but my feeling is that ultimately they're going to decide to stick with Rob Thompson.
All right. Ray, we love having you on the program, my man. We'll talk to you next week. Hopefully we're all in a better mood. Better be after the Eagles play the Vikings. Thank you, Ray.
Okay, take care, guys.
All right, there he is, Ray Didinger.